What is good, y'all? Welcome back to another video. Today we have a special little video for you guys. It's gonna be the story from how we met all the way to now. It's quite a long one, so get comfortable. Pause the video, grab your popcorn, eat a snack or two. It's a roller coaster.
If this is the first time that you're watching us and you don't know who we are, I'm Deepening.
And I'm Felipe.
And this is the story of how we met.
For those of y'all that are new to the channel, hello. Hit that subscribe button, please. Like it up. Become our friends. We're nice people. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there was these two little kids. So the story starts back in middle school. In 7th grade, she was in 6th grade. I was 13 years old and she was 12. I got made fun of by a couple of my friends because I was dating a 6th grader. We did the middle school dating thing for like 2 months. So my sister Luli, she had been going to a dance studio, Heroes of Hip Hop. I was kind of not doing anything extracurricular at the time. My mom had signed me up for it too. So I showed up for my first day. In that first class, I just remember like looking around, seeing all these people, and then I just saw the girl. She was very cute. Despite the huge gap in her teeth, I still found the beauty.
Okay.
I still found the beauty in her. I instantly had feelings or whatever. I think it was a while before we even spoke a word, honestly.
Never actually had like a real conversation.
I found her Instagram and I'm pretty sure I hit you up in your DMs. We just got pretty close, and then eventually we would start being a little bit more talkative in class and like kind of sit next to each other or stand next to each other, try to like just be near each other.
Wasn't like much was really happening at that time.
I was pretty shy in person, so like, you know, as a little boy, you don't really know how to talk to girls, so it's just like I had a little bit more confidence behind the screen.
Honestly, there wasn't really much communicating in person, even after we started like dating.
We went from like getting to know each other to being friends, and then I remember asking her to be my girlfriend. She ended up saying yes. And then we started this thing every morning, going to school. She would like send me a selfie of her. I was happy about it. It made my day. After we started dating, we would like, after dance class, we would be waiting in the lobby for our parents. But then it turned into more of our parents waiting for us. We would go to say goodbye, but then we'd be hugging eternally in the lobby.
Wouldn't let go.
Yeah, no. And then I remember hugging and then seeing my mom behind her. She was like, come on, let's go, come on, like we gotta go. Didn't want to let go. For me, I don't know, I just felt like even though we were just hugging, there was like this, I don't know, just like this connection, this physical bond, this emotional bond that was just kind of happening. It just felt good. You get this like butterfly feeling in your stomach.
Even though we were kids, like something just felt right.
Our second show, went off to the side one time and we were waiting for our next turn to go on. I went up to her ear and I was like, I love you. I mean, in 7th grade, I very much believed that I loved her. Fast forwarding a little bit later, there was this play that they were doing. In the end of it, we took a picture. We looked absolutely crusty as fuck. It was our first official picture together, I think. It was pretty bad. You can see me growing a little rat stash. She didn't have the greatest teeth.
I got braces later on, okay?
Yeah, she ended up getting braces. After that picture was taken, it was really like a 2-month relationship, but things were like really rough at home for me. I felt that shit affected me, obviously, like it would affect any kid. Towards the end of our little 2-month relationship, I was feeling like I have to get away from her because I don't want the way that things are going at home affect me so bad that I start taking it out on the people closest to me, like my friends, her.
I was in the drive-thru for Burger King and I opened up a Snapchat from him. When I played the video, I didn't have the audio playing and I messaged him. That's when he kind of made it clear. He's like, yeah, I just basically broke up with you in that video.
Obviously, I still liked her very much. I mean, I loved her. There was just that connection, and like I really didn't want to let go of that, but I also didn't want the bullshit of what was to come and to affect us and her. So yeah, that's what happened. Broke up with her 7th grade. Yeah, we didn't talk at all for the next 4 years. You might call me a weirdo.
He still stalked me.
I wouldn't call it stalking. I safely watched from a distance. Luli was still in dance, obviously. And throughout those shows, like, yes, of course, I would go to support Luli, but I was also always keeping an eye out for her. You know, I was just still always kind of like watching her from a distance, just seeing she was alive and well. And every now and then I would ask Luli, like, you know, hey, like, what's going on with her? Like, you know, is she dating anybody? Like, what's going on? You might call it stalking, but I just call it making sure that she was okay.
Then after that point, I ended up getting into another relationship, and that lasted for like
all of high school.
4 years. That was just even more of a reason why I just like never really like reached out, or we just like didn't really talk because I was in a relationship already.
When I heard that she was dating her ex, I mean, I always had feelings for her. I always had a strong feeling that eventually we were gonna cross paths again.
Since his sister was still like, we were still in the same dance group, so we would like cross paths at shows and competitions or whatever.
After 4 years, in November of 2019, she had been posting on her Snapchat story for a while, and every now and then I would respond with like heart eyes or like, oh my god, you're so pretty.
Still knowing that I'm in a relationship.
Yeah,
he still
very
still
well
did
known.
this.
Yeah, don't call me crazy, please. By that point, all the bullshit at home had kind of died down.
We were already junior, senior year.
Eventually, in November, I just decided to go for it because I felt confident. I was like, I think I'm ready to go for it again. I kind of just struck up conversation. I started talking, and like almost immediately, it was just like we had never stopped talking. We've talked every single day since that day. In that conversation, at some point, I was just like, we should go out. Just were like, sure, yeah. When? And I was like, tomorrow. For some reason, she agreed.
Something just felt so right and like natural, and as soon as we started having conversations again, it just felt like nothing had ever changed.
I spent the day with one of my best friends from back home. We went to a department store. I found this Hawaiian floral button-down shirt. I bought it. Outfit that you see is how I showed up to my first encounter with her in 4 years. When she agreed to hang out, I said, all right, it's a date. For some reason, I still showed up wearing this outfit.
To make it clear, he calls all of our hangouts dates, even from the very first time.
He never objected to me calling it a date.
He just never took anything else.
It is what it is. I parked my car. I was kind of waiting for her in the parking lot, and then I see her mom's van come around. They were like confused on who they were looking for because they didn't expect me to look like what I look like.
At this point, I'm already like at 2.5, 3 years into the relationship that I was in. And like, I wasn't really even allowed to hang out with him outside of like parental vision. I had mentioned like, hey, Lipa asked to go shopping or whatever. And she's like, okay. At that time, she didn't even know who I was talking about because Felipa just didn't click in her head that it was the same Felipa that I had dated when I was 12.
It's because subconsciously she knew that I was that guy. I felt like we were 13 and 12 again. Like that feeling was still there. Yeah, we hung out that night. We walked around from stop sign to stop sign, had some ice cream. We went into this very expensive, like everything was made of glass. It was real weird. And we were just kind of fucking around in there and like having fun, almost broke stuff. And then we went to a little toy store. We played some mini pool. Kind of messed around. You wouldn't think that after years it would be so comfortable and fun. We went back to my car and I drove her home. And I remember I went to the stoplight to make a U-turn. She's like, damn, that was smooth. And I was like, that's the only way I know how. And that was kind of the end of that night. A little bit of time had passed. It was now like December. They had a Christmas show coming up. But during the show, I took this video where I kind of pan around the stage and she was on the right side of the stage. And I put a heart right under where she would be standing, posted it on my Snapchat story. That was kind of one of those like subtle flirting things, just kind of letting her know like.
From then on, it was just kind of the same, just talking on Snap. During that time, we were both still in school, so even like while we're at school, it was just kind of like checking in.
It just turned into that kind of like a close relationship very fast. Like we wanted to hang out again. So I asked her out on another date, had a nice breakfast. We were just kind of sitting there like making conversation. And I'm not gonna lie, I will agree with anybody who calls me weird or crazy for this. I wanted to test the waters of how comfortable we were. I decided that my legs are cold, because I was wearing shorts that day. She was wearing like sweatpants. I took my legs and I wrapped it around hers. And then I just kind of started rubbing my legs on her legs.
We just let it happen and then we were just talking through it. Like,
yep. I don't think any other girl would have hung out with me if I did that to them. But after we went to the mall and just kind of hung out at the mall. We went to stores here and there and just kind of fucked around in them. Yeah, I was actually wearing this hoodie that day. Took her back to her house and that was the end of the second date. But I started missing her, so I wanted to hang out again. And then she was like, oh, actually, there's this movie that I wanted to watch. It was a scary movie. It was The Boy 2.
And at this point, the relationship that I was in was kind of like in a rocky place. We were on a break, the first of many. I was just like wanting to be out of the house and not thinking of what was happening. So hanging out with him, it definitely made me feel a lot better. Because you were my best friend.
Yeah, okay. We went out on our third date. We went to Fuddruckers, and we went to go watch the movie at Cinemark. At the movies is kind of where you... And that's exactly what I did. I mean, after that, I think I just kind of took her home.
At this time, I'm still like, in my head, I'm still strictly like, he's my best friend. Like,
That's kind of where we just started hanging out very, very frequently. I went to her house a lot. I was convinced on trying to strike up a relationship with her parents. Any of you boys that are watching, get good with the parents before you do anything else. I spent months going to their house. I started this thing where I would ask her, like, hey, I'm going to Dunkin', or hey, I'm going to Starbucks. What do you want? Actually, one of the first times that I did that, I masked it as, I'm going to Starbucks. What's the order that you would get? I would act like I'm getting that, but in reality, I'd probably get something else, order her drink, and then I'd go to her house.
And then he complains why I'm spoiled because he's been doing it since day one.
Yeah, I've spoiled her a shit ton. They're moving to a new house. If you're there to help her move, subconsciously she's like, house boy, I'm gonna live with this dude.
I don't know where you got that from, but okay.
Look, that was my thought process. That was my thought process at the time. I'm like, if I help her move, she's gonna be like, he's a very helpful and strong man. He's a good person to think of in the future. That was my thought process.
And he was there.
And it worked. Yeah, eventually they got done moving into the house, but then they were staying at their grandma's house for a little bit because they weren't done remodeling the new house. And her grandma got so cool. We would be like drinking wine together in the backyard, and oof, I got in with the parents. I got in with the grandmother. I already know that they were talking good about me at home. We would hang out, go around the neighborhood, drive around, just kind of mess around.
Driving around and exploring was just kind of like our thing.
The day that I lost my car, I was so convinced of hanging out with her at any point ever. I had Julian drive me to her grandma's house, leave me there for the day. We went to the beach, just kind of walked around the beach, and then we went back to her grandma's house. I was sitting up front with her mom, and her mom and I were just kind of talking. She was in the back sleeping, but like her mom kind of knew what I was getting at here. That was, I think, one of, if not the first time that I had like a conversation with her mom about her. A little bit later, I went over to my dad's house for a couple weeks. By that point, our like friendship had gotten to like a really, really high point, and I was just like so head over heels for this girl. I knew that I loved her. Like, there was just this one night that I was at my dad's house. As teenagers do, you just kind of sit around and you just get in your thoughts. I've always had this like battle of like, what is love? How do you know you're in love? I asked so many people, like, what is love?
Like, saying I love you was like very big for him. Like, he does not say that stuff easily. So like, during the times that we would talk, like I say to anybody else that I'm talking to, like when any conversation, I'm just like, love you, or like, he never really responded with I love you, always just like OYT, OY2.
I knew that I had very strong feelings for this girl, but I was just in my feelings so strong that night. It just kind of clicked in my brain. Like, I was laying in my room in my dad's house and then like looking at the ceiling, and I was just like, this is love. Just kind of realized that the relationship that we had, the relationship that we always had, emotional connection, our best friendship. The morning before I had to leave, I convinced myself that now that I knew what love was and that I was most certainly in love, I needed to make it known. She was very, very much in a relationship, but I just needed to make my love for her known. So I made a voice message that I sent to her over text in which I confessed my love to her. I shot my shot because that's just what you need to do. I sent it and I just kind of didn't look at my phone for a while.
A lot of feelings were kind of going through me. I was still in the relationship that I was in. At this point, that relationship was just a hot mess, and I was just kind of confused on what am I supposed to do, because obviously he's my best friend. I'm not trying to lose him or that bond that we had. After hearing that, I was like, I don't know what to do, because he just confessed his love for me, and knowing how important love is to him, it's like now I kind of have to just be honest. And
I cried when I realized that I was in love.
Had to let him know the truth.
Next day, I drive back to Weston. Immediately just went out to my friend Rob's house. I was just kind of like in turmoil. The next day, I told her, I'm like, I'm gonna go to your grandma's house and we're gonna talk this out. She comes out to the driveway, sits in my passenger seat, and she tells me no. Really wasn't our time, because by that point it was already decided that I was gonna go into the Air Force. Timing wasn't there. She was in a tough spot.
I cried.
Inside, I was like, I felt like I was dying.
And I was just mainly scared of like, I don't want to lose him over this, for what we had and what we could potentially have later on.
I ended up having to console her. even though I was the one whose heart just got broken. You know, I came around the car, I gave her a hug, I was like, it's okay. And you know, she even tried to say in that moment, she was like, maybe later. And I actually shot her down because I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to hear yes or no in the moment. I didn't want that false hope for later. If it was going to happen later, I wanted it to happen on its own terms. Very tough times. The next day, I was just kind of sitting around the house, and I remember mommy, she saw me in the living room and she was like, what the hell is the matter with you? Like, why are you so down? I just broke down crying on the couch. Then is when she told me, you guys should definitely stop talking. I was still very determined to keep somewhat of a good relationship because, you know, I was leaving soon for basic training. I wanted to end on good terms. I didn't want it to just be left on that and things be awkward for my remaining time there. So I was like determined to keep things going. But she was like, no, you have to stop talking to her so that she knows what she's missing when you're gone. And it was a very valid point. Like, the way I saw it, she told me to stop talking to her and I was like, nah, I'm leaving anyways. I kind of ignored my mom's very good advice. We took a few days, you didn't talk too much, but I got back on the horse. May as well go out on a high note, just cherish the time left that we have together. Our connection and bond is just like so inevitable that not even that huge heartbreak got in the way of it. I still didn't have a car at this point. I was riding around mostly on my bike and when friends were picking me up. When you drive, it's about like a 15-20 minute drive to where she lived. I was so determined to hang out with her. I got on my bike one day. I biked all the way to her house and then I just kind of told her that I was outside her house. Kept hanging out. I was determined to leave things good. After a few weeks of still hanging out came the day that I had to leave for BMT. Saved the day before I left for her. We decided to watch a sunrise. Thought it would be fun to just go to the beach and kind of drink together and just have a nice little fun time before I left. We got to the beach and she was chugging Malibu. By that point it was like 5:30 and we're just like sitting on the beach getting blasted. We found a beach chair. We low-key fell asleep for like 10-15 minutes. Probably a little bit more. Like we passed out for a little bit. Yeah, after that we got up, we gathered our stuff and we were on our way back to her house. Around like 1:30, I looked at the time, I was like, all right. I said what I had to say.
I couldn't really get my words out because I was just crying so much.
She was snot crying everywhere. It was disgusting. Yeah, she gave her little speech, but you know, we left with what we had to say, and that was that. I left for BMT. I still sent letters, just updating on how I was doing. That was the only way that we communicated. There was this one letter that she sent me one day in which she sent me a picture. It kept me going, it gave me strength, it made me happy to be able to see her face. And after a few weeks, we started getting phone calls like every Saturday or Sunday. I only called her like once throughout BMT. Yeah, she definitely sounded confused. She's like, hello? I was sobbing. Just let her know that I was okay. The day that I graduated, we got our phones back and she was one of the first people I texted and she responded almost immediately. I was just kind of keeping her updated on everything. And by the time I got to Shepherd, which was for my tech school, I FaceTimed her almost as soon as possible. Things just kind of resumed from there.
We were always FaceTiming when he was in his room. We had our moments while he was at Shepherd. There was like 2 or 3 situations where things just kind of got stupid and we kind of distanced for a little bit. But other than that, the friendship was still the same.
Well, from both sides, it was a very confusing up and down time throughout Shepherd. We've never been so much closer, but also so much farther. It was up and down, mixed signals all over the place. Like, she was always calling me no matter what. FaceTime, voice calls. She was out with her friends doing stuff, calling me. Like, I was always put in a position of the boyfriend. That's how I knew that we were inevitably gonna happen. On our good days, I knew that it was bound to happen. It was just a matter of time. On the bad days, I wanted to stop talking to her forever. We made it through, as we usually do. You know, you just talk about it, understand each other, move on. And it came to the end of Shepherd, but yeah, by the time I was ready to fly home for the holidays, I was pretty much 99% convinced that we were going to happen. And I made it my mission to make her mine before I left for Alaska. I get home, sent Snapchats and was texting. I sent pictures of like my face only. I wasn't showing any of my surroundings. I turned off my location.
I had a feeling. I was just kind of waiting.
So I got home, got picked up by my dad, and then he took me to surprise my mom, my sister, and my older sister at dinner. I told them that I was going to send them the money to pay for dinner. They didn't know that I was coming. The only people that knew I was coming was Hennessy's, my older sister, and my dad. So we kind of orchestrated the whole thing. I had nice little surprise for them at the sushi place. The next morning, I coordinated with her mom to pull up to their house, and I, came back with the tradition of bringing her Dunkin' and stuff. That morning, I got up, went to Dunkin', texted her mom like, hey, I'm here, and then I went and sat at the dining table. Her mom made the story up of, oh, your Uber Eats is at the door, and as you guys see in the video, she went to the door and then turns around and sees me, and then she comes running. So yeah, that was a little surprise for her. It was sweet. Later in the night, I wanted to go stargazing with her, so we went out in the Everglades. There's no light pollution, so you just see all the stars, and it was really cool.
Literally in like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we just spent time looking at the stars, and I purposely chose something romantic, so like, like we were having a good time, but it was still like mixed signals. It seemed like it was gonna happen, but I chickened out, honestly. Regardless, we still had a good night. 2 days later, on the 22nd, we decided to go see the Christmas lights. Great houses were seen. From that night on, to me, pretty much solidified, yeah, this is happening. Now it's just a matter of making it official. So magically, earlier that day, on the 22nd, he just happened to become single, which I did not know about. I only had until the 28th, really. In that time, I was trying to hang out with everybody as much as possible. Friends, family, her. On the 28th, I made my rounds all day, saying goodbye to everybody. Of course, I had to save her for last. I came to her house with the intention of, making it official, but at the same time, being that she had just broken up with her ex, I was starting to let go of my mission of coming back to claim her as mine. After a 4-year relationship, I think she deserved a lot of time to herself. I had no problem waiting for a little bit because she deserved that time. We were at her house. It was time to say goodbye again. I said what I had to say. She said what she had to say. I was okay with the idea that we didn't make anything official. I was just happy that we were able to say our goodbyes, and I was willing to be patient, saying our final goodbyes before I got into my car.
Sorry, I'm still not sure about that.
Shut the Anyways, before I was so rudely interrupted, she looked at me and she was like, I'm yours. You have nothing to worry about. And I was like, I trust you. I know nothing's gonna happen. It's kind of where it happened. December 28th, we became official. Within hours of starting our relationship, became a long distance relationship. That's what we did till later this year.
Obviously, that was not the easiest thing at all.
My first relationship, being that it was long distance, I was confident, but at the same time, the way things were looking in the beginning, we weren't supposed to be together for even close to how fast we ended up being together. We were scoping out to be together physically 3-4 years. Things changed here and there. Instead, we're here now. Later in July, she came for July 4th and just kind of spent the next 2 weeks. She visited here for the first time. We had a great time together. We had a really good honeymoon phase for those first 6 months. After she came back from here that first time, things really went south.
It was bad.
I'm an actual idiot for what I put up with. I was put in the friend zone. I was sent mixed signals, emotionally destroyed multiple times. Then, for my first ever relationship, I take on a long distance relationship, a girl who's fresh out of a 4-year toxic relationship. There's so many things wrong. It's actually ridiculous.
Still stuck around.
Look, man, I'm a very patient, strong person. I stuck with the process, I trusted it, and now she is way better. The 2nd December, me being gone, I went back for the holidays. We celebrated our 1-year anniversary, hung out with family, friends. That was pretty much last December. Came around to April, when I turned 20. She came and visited for the 2nd time. I felt that we were in a good place. The week before she came, actually, I went and got her mom's blessing. I talked to my mom, I talked to other family and friends, got their blessings. I didn't seem right to them, but we felt that we were in a strong position. Yeah, I thought it would be a good decision to propose to her. Obviously, very nerve-wracking thing. In the day, April 20th, 420, I saw the opportunity and I took it, guys, all right? I took her out to a nice little spot that I forgot to take her out to the first time that she visited and popped the question. Luckily, she said yes. Stayed the rest of the week, we had a good time, and then she flew back home. And that kind of sucked, because it was just like, I just got a fiance and now she's gone. At that point, I didn't know how long it would be until I saw her next. Dropped her off at the airport. She told me to look in my glove box. She left this really nice note for me. Dude, I was sobbing like a bitch. At that point, I was kind of taking in everything that we had been through. Like, we hit some really low lows. Everything that we had worked for individually and together, see it paying off now, really hit me in that moment. We made the quick decision of wanting to get married a lot sooner.
It was kind of last minute, but I think it worked out for the best.
We were doing good, but long distance was still causing problems as far as like miscommunications, even the simplest things. Nitpick at each other just because you miss each other. I honestly just got tired of it. And I was just like, listen, I don't see any reason why we can't just get married and be together already. And at first, she was kind of hesitant. Obviously, it's a huge transition just leaving home, you know, starting a whole new life with somebody. We talked about it a lot. We ended up coming to a decision of getting married in June. I made arrangements to fly back home. June 17th, we went to the courthouse and did the ting. Not long after that, a couple weeks later, she was here. She arrived here, and we've just been living life ever since. And that, kids, is how I met your mother. I've been waiting all video to say that.
That's the story. I don't know how long this video is going to end up being. Hopefully you stuck it out and watched the whole thing.
There might be some parts where you thought we were crazy, mostly me, and I wouldn't take back any second of our history, even though I look like an idiot for about 90% of it.
Everything truly worked out in our favor.
I stand by everything I did because ultimately everything I did led to here, and all the patience that I had, especially throughout our long distance relationship, definitely paid off. She's definitely someone that I enjoy being around. The friend zone works, boys. Have patience. That's the moral of the story. I say it's worth it because I got a wife out of it. So don't give up. Just play your cards right. Have patience. Just be there. Don't be as creepy as me. She will come around. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. Thank you guys for watching, if you stayed this long.
I hope so.
We took a lot of time to make this, so hopefully you guys watched all of it, if not most of it. For those of you that are new, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully we made a subscriber out of you in this video. Everybody, hit that like button. I want to know your comments. Anybody that has any questions, comments, concerns.
If there's enough questions, we can probably do a whole other separate video.
Yeah, we could probably make a Q&A out of this shit. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.